Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how you can create like the 3D exploded kind of instructions view that they want you guys to present. I got a couple people asking me how to do this, so I decided just to do a video to show you kind of like a quick, easy way to do it. You can see here I kind of just created like 4 quick shapes, and I'm going to say that those are my different parts of my my design. So for you guys, this would be all your different parts that make up your kiosk. Now you could, and you can notice that I'm in the 3D view. So you could, take like maybe one of the parts and start to move it and explode it in this view. But it may not work out exactly that way, how you want it to. There may be some parts that won't move, or they'll move and they get like all messed up when you do end up moving them. So that's probably not the easiest way to do it. The easiest way I want to do it is I'm actually gonna duplicate this 3D view for as many parts that I need it for. So you can see I have 4 parts to my design, so I'm going to duplicate this view 4 times. And actually, the first before you duplicate it, if I go back for a second, what you want to do is you want to set up the angle that you want to see this at. So because we're going to be duplicated and we don't want to change the angle after, because we're going to have like 5 different views, or how many different views that you have after you explode your parts. You want to make sure that it's all in the same angle. So set the angle first of how you want to see this this piece, and then once you set it, then duplicate it. The view, I'm going to duplicate it. Mine's only 4 parts, so I'm just going to duplicate everything right now. For you may have a lot more parts, so you don't want to do everything at once. You may go part by part as you do this. So you notice now when I go switch back and forth, you see all the the angle and the view is the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just rename these so I know what they are. So you guys would probably want to rename them by parts. But I'm just going to say top, for this top piece, and then this one I'm going to say front for the front piece. This one I'm just going to call side, and that's going to be for that side piece. And then the last one I'll call body, just to call it as the big kind of thing that everything's attached to. So now what you do is you go to the view, whatever view, and you can select everything. If you just on your with your screen, just click right down on your mouse on the right click on your mouse down, highlight everything. Then if you hit shift down, you can subtract something that you've highlighted. So whatever this part is, subtract that. So right now it's body, so I'm going to subtract the body. So everything's now subtracted, everything's still highlighted except for that piece that goes with that view. And then if you right click, actually the select all was left click, my mistake, just left click down and then highlighter, and that's an easier way to highlight. If you guys didn't know, it works the same way as AutoCAD. So if you highlight everything, and then hold the shift down and subtract the name of the view, and then if you right click, you can do hide in view elements. So now it's just that part that's going to be shown, and then you do the same thing for everything else. So this is the front view. I'm going to hide everything but the front. And then I'm going to do the side. I'm going to hide everything but the side. Oops. Hide side. And then the top, select everything except for the top and hide it. Oops. I'm going to hide the top. So now, and if you ever get into a situation where you want to see those parts again that you've deleted or you've hidden, this hourglass right here, this kind of like light bulb kind of thing, reveals hidden elements. So if I click on this, it's going to show everything that I just hid, and then you can click on something, right click, unhide, and view, and then now it'll show again. So if that ever happens, that's kind of like a quick thing that you can do. So now if you go to a sheet, and you on sheets, and if you go, you right click and go new sheet, you can load in more sheets if you're not using the template that I gave you. So if you hit load more, you can scroll down to the title blocks folder, bring in this D size, even though it's not the correct size yet. And then you can see right now, basically you're just going to want a blank sheet. I think they do want some sort of like small title block, somewhere for the name of the group and date list and stuff like that. I think if you use my title block that's in the template that I put up on Box, the template file that has the site, that's probably a good enough title block to use. It may be too big, but we can see for now. But I'm going to edit this one just to get a blank sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to hit edit. And then I'm basically just going to highlight everything. I'm going to delete it all. And then now you can notice that this wasn't exactly 24 by 36. So I'm going to make it 24 by 36. And then I'm going to load into the project and close. But I'm not going to save because I saved it. If I save it, it's going to save it in that file, kind of like the library that Revit has where everything's saved. So you don't want to save it. You just want to be in this project. So you hit no, and then you just hit overwrite existing, and it makes it, but it doesn't. It creates that, but it doesn't save it. So now, I kind of don't know if they decided to go with horizontal orientation or vertical. If they did go with vertical, you can just click on it, hit rotate, and rotate the sheet if it needs to be vertical. And then I believe on the last tutorial, in tutorial A, I show you how to print when you need to print stuff. So you can refer back to that tutorial to print. And it also shows you how to set up views, but it's going to be the same thing I'm showing now. So this is the sheet that you have, and if you expand the sheets, you see now that it's there, and you can name it whatever. And again, this is stuff that I go over in tutorial A, because if you use the template file that I gave and you use that title block, it shows you how to fill in that title block. So basically, to get these views on, basically you just drag and drop. And this goes for any view, but even in the 3D views. So you just click on a view just once, so it's highlighted, and then you just grab it, hold down, left click and hold down and drag it and put it on the view. And obviously you can change the scale if you ever need to change the scale. I'm just going to increase it a little bit so it's a little bit more visible. And then you notice that a title comes in, like this kind of like title thing comes in. If you don't want that, you can just click on this, edit type, and then uncheck show extension lines, and where it says show title, click to no. And that was just clicking on the view itself. So now you just see the body. So that was the body. So now I'm going to bring in the front. And again, I'm going to make this the same scale, which I believe was a 1/2 inch. Yep. And you'll notice that you see this when I drag this, there's that kind of blue dashed line. That means that they're the same horizontally. And then when I grab it over, it'll become crosshairs eventually. And it means that that's the exact position that that's in. If this was all created in one, so like when you get that kind of blue kind of crosshairs, that's when you know that the views are aligned in both horizontally and vertically. Then you would just do the same thing for all the other sides. And again, I gotta change the scale. So you can see here, there's the blue crosshairs. I can put that on, and then for the top, do the same thing. Change the scale. And I forget. I don't know what scales you guys are doing it at. I believe it's basic. I don't know if they set it an exact scale. It's probably just as big as you can get it, so it actually fits on the sheet and shows a good amount of detail. But I would double check to make sure if they actually specify the scale they want to see this at. So now that you have the views in, you can now use the move command to just drag stuff so it stays in line. So I can just move this to move it up, and then I can take this and move it to the side, and then move this one to that side. So it starts to explode it. And then if you go to the Manage tab, additional settings, and then line styles, this is where you can create a new line type. So for my quick purpose, I'm just going to do a new one, and I'm going to call it hidden 2, just because there's already a hidden line, but it's green, and I want to make this one black. Then I'm just going to hit OK, so when it comes in, I can change the color of it. So if you want to make it red or something, you can. And then this is where you get different line styles, and if you go down to hidden, you see there's a whole bunch of different kind of hidden scales. I'm just going to do this one for now to see what it looks like. Hit OK. So now that's an option to select when you create a line. So if I go to the Annotate tab and I go to Detail Line, this drop-down menu, I'll find the hidden 2 that I just created. So now I can I can draw something like that to kind of start to show that how it's exploded. Again, you guys can look at examples from stuff like on that store. Well, basically any store. Oh, IKEA. If you get like furniture from IKEA, their instructions are pretty much shown like this, but everything exploded. So like if you ever wanted to see kind of like how it should look, you can always go look at that, and then you can start to do things. You can start to draw stuff like this in and show it where it goes. So I think that's probably going to be the quickest way to get this, to show an exploded view like this. Again, and obviously this is for Revit. I don't know if you're using another program, and then you're gonna have to try to figure that out on what you're using. If you know a good way to do that. And then obviously, if you ever wanted to move everything, it's always smart to grab everything at once and move it. You can see that there's this view, like I can click on. If you actually double click on it, the view itself becomes active. So you could, instead of going back to the view here and clicking on this view, you can actually just work on it right on the sheet itself. And then to get out of it, you just left click and hit deactivate view. So it's kind of the same thing as if you ever work with layouts in AutoCAD, where you can, when you're in a layout, you can take a viewport, double click on it, and work in the viewport right on that layout. It's kind of the same concept here. So you can double click on that and edit it there. So I believe that's, actually, and the last thing I want to show, you can see right now the view is set up pretty well. But if I double click on the view itself and go back in, this right here is a show crop region. So if you ever need to crop anything, you could, I'm just going to show this for now. So you can see, so now I crop that, and then if I wanted to not crop it, I would just uncrop, deactivate the crop region like that. But this is something that you would want to wait until the very end to do, because you want to make sure so once you have all the views set up and everything's exploded and it's where you want it to be, then this is where I would recommend doing this, because as I showed you that crosshairs, this kind of crosshairs thing that shows you when the views are aligned, that may kind of get changed if you start to mess with the crop regions before you actually have everything set. So that's why you want to set everything first, and then if you need to adjust the crop region to hide some things, you can do that. And so I think that's it for this tutorial. Hopefully this helped you guys. For those of you that's using Revit to kind of create this, hopefully this helps you with that. And that's it.